mateys, welcome to SoT Thieves. This is Damron with Trash Ass Gamers, and we're on the final tale of our Tall Tales guide in SoT Thieves anniversary update. So this is part 9, Shores of Gold. We've culminated to this final experience. This mission is a lot of fun, a lot of puzzles, and a lot of combat. It's a really fun mission to play. You get to go into the Shroud. I think you guys are really going to like it, and I've certainly enjoyed all of the missions up to this point. It's been a fabulous experience. So also want to take this moment to thank all of you all that have shown me support thus far and your comments. I really appreciate it. It's been a fun ride. So this will be a complete guide for the mission itself. We'll cover all the different puzzles. We'll also cover all of Briggsy's journal locations. So if you're coming just for that, all of those locations will be at the end of the video. So we will be covering all the commendations so that we're making progress towards the Seeker of Grand Adventure achievement, which is to gain all commendations in all of the Tall Tales. So let's get right to it. You're going to have to pick this quest up next to Grace on Morrow's Peak Outpost, and after talking to her, she's going to plant the Shroud Breaker imbued with all its stones onto your ship, and you're going to see it tied down just to the left of your wheel. And now it's going to allow us to enter the Shores of Gold, which is in the northeast aspect of the map. And you don't know exactly where you're going to go there, but as you get close, the Shroud Breaker will have this really cool glow to it, and it's allowing you to sail into the Shroud protected without being killed. So that's pretty cool. But essentially, when you get into the Shores of Gold, you can use your scope and you can find it. There's only one island there, but where you're eventually going to go is kind of right in between Y3 and Y4 on your map, and eventually it's going to lead you to a pretty beautiful little island, the Shores of Gold. And now we're ready to kind of get into this tale a little bit. So if we open our book, we found out this book was written by Briggsy, and she found essentially a chamber that required 4 missing medallions. And she also provided us with a very nice map of the island, and you can see there's a south, shark, there's a boat to the west, up north's a kraken, east is a warrior, and there's also these circles with question marks. Now your particular symbols may actually be different, as in you may not have a kraken, you may have something else, but the vault locations are still going to be the same, right? There's going to be a southern vault, an eastern vault, a northern vault, and a western vault. And those are going to be the same, but the symbol correlated with that is going to be kind of randomly assigned. So let's go ahead and do the south vault, which to me is the shark, and again that could be different for you, but the vault itself is going to be the same. When you walk in, you're going to get a very familiar looking vault that we've seen in previous aspects of different tales. And this is a pretty easy vault. If we look into the journal, you're going to see these circles that have 4 symbols in them. And basically you need to put at least 3 of those symbols on the blocks. There's going to be a block that you can't move, so here you see this 3rd block can't move. So I need to find 3 unique symbols on those blocks that are within that circle. So here I've got a boat, an eagle, a sea queen, and something else, and basically you need to, and a snake, right? So now I need to find those symbols, and one's blank, and it doesn't matter the order. There's no particular order. It's just about getting 3 of those symbols on the blocks, and then after you do that, we're gonna get our first totem. So we finished that puzzle. Again, you do it twice, and we get our first totem, which is the shark totem. Again, the particular totem you get could be different, right? It may not be a shark, but the vault puzzle will be the same. So now let's go ahead and do the next vault. We'll do our west vault, which for me is the boat symbol. So let's go ahead and head over there. Now the West Vault is probably the vault that's going to be, you're going to spend the most time on. So we're going to talk pretty extensively about this because there's kind of 4 mini puzzles within this puzzle. So you're going to see when you go into this vault and you light all the braziers, a map is going to appear on the middle, and it's a map of Tribune Peak. And there's 4 kind of glowing circles on this map, and each of those circles has a dot on it, and it's either a 1, 2, 3, or 4 dots. And if you look at the map in the book, those correlate to the circles with question marks in them in the journal that Briggsy has drawn. And the dots that are on the circles in the glowing portion correlate to the blocks that are in the vault, right? So if we look down and we say, okay, the top left or the north, western kind of circle has 4 dots, well, that's going to correlate to the 4th column. And if we look at the northeastern, it has 1 dot. Okay, that's the 1st column. The one in between that and the south is 3, and the south is 2. And again, the 2 is going to correlate to the 2nd column. So we have to go to those areas on the map, and there's going to be little puzzles that are going to generate a symbol for us. And that location is going to correlate with the block number that is indicated by the number of dots in the glowing circle. Now, the number of dots in the glowing circle could be different for you, and of course the symbols that you're going to get from each of these little mini puzzles can be different for you. So here we go. This is the first one. If you kind of went to the north side, again, you just kind of go up that hill I'll show you in the video, step on that pressure plate, look out to the southeast, a rock's going to come out of the water, and that's going to be our first symbol. So this was on the northeastern side where we had the 1 dot. So if we go to where the 2nd dot was, which was right beside or right behind Briggsy's boat off of the south shore, if you kind of head west, kind of northwest, you'll find this little totem here. This isn't actually a puzzle. You just need to flip each switch on both sides, and that's going to reveal the 2nd symbol. Now for me, again, this is for block 2, but it could be a different block for you, and it could be a different symbol, but that puzzle will be the same. So block 3 for me, this is on the path that's heading towards the compass vault. So we walk up here, and as you're kind of getting about halfway, you'll see these 2 torches with another pressure plate. And when you step on that pressure plate and look over the water, you'll see a block coming out of the ground. Now, as soon as you step off this pressure plate, that block will now start to sink slowly back in. So you need to run over there as fast as possible and see what the symbol is before it goes back into the ground. So we got a turtle there for our 3rd symbol, and the 4th block for me is this puzzle in the northwest portion. And I just want to reiterate, this may not be the 4th block for you, right? You have to look at the number of dots on the glowing circle to appreciate which block this correlates into your western vault. But if we head up here, we hit this switch on the left, it's going to drop this wall down, and it's going to show an image of the pillars that are actually right outside this stairwell, and the hook is going to go around the one that's going to have the symbol that you need. Each of those little totems has a pressure plate that will reveal a symbol, but this is the specific symbol that we need. So now we've got all of our symbols. We got the flame for block 4, so if we go back into the western vault, now we can enter the code that we've gotten from all of our mini puzzles, which was Kraken, and then a shark, and then a turtle, and then a flame. And again, I just want to reiterate, that may not be your code, right? You may have different symbols, and the blocks may be different, but the mini puzzles and how you get those solutions is going to be the same. So here I go, I've got my boat medallion, and now we can move on to the east vault. And the east vault is obviously on the easternmost portion of the island, and this is really, really easy. In fact, if you look in Briggsy's journal, she just tells you it was super easy and doesn't give you any hints about it. When you walk in, you're going to see this key kind of right in front of you, and if you look at, again, she says this is just easy for any adventure, but if you flip the page, you'll see the direction of the key with the back of the key on the right and then this dot on the left. And all you need to do is make the blocks a key, and you're going to put the back on the right, the dot on the left, and you'll make the middle 2 match up for the middle portion of the key, and that'll get this totem for you. Alright, so now we got 3 of 4 totems, and we're moving on to the northern vault, and I'll show you a little bit about this particular one that can help you because this can be a little tricky. Again, obviously it's going to be on the northern aspect of Tribune Peak, and when we go in, the thing about this particular vault is that you have to match all of the symbols. She says 4 of the same, but had to tread carefully because there's traps around the vault. As soon as you light all the braziers, all these wooden planks will have spikes that come out of them and they will kill you in one hit. But what I'm doing is I'm showing you areas that you can jump to and still have access to these blocks. Now, if you're playing with more than one person, obviously this can be easier because you can just have people stand in those places that I showed you and you don't even have to worry about the traps. But you can take your time. There's really not a time limit to this particular, vault. Just wait a moment until the spikes are going down and then jump over, and now I have access to the middle 2 blocks. And ultimately using that method, just kind of taking your time, staying safe, eventually you'll match all the blocks up and press the switch. And you'll have to do that twice. So once you do it once, the blocks will disappear, the images will come back, but it's the same concept. Just take your time, jump to those areas that I showed you, and match all 4 symbols with the same symbol. And then once you do that, you're going to get your 4th and final token, which for me is the Kraken. And now we're on to the Compass Vault. And the Compass Vault, just for directionality purposes, there's our boat on the southeast beach. If you're kind of heading north from there, there's a path that leads up and around, and if you follow that path, eventually you'll get to this cliff. But just look over it and you'll see this wooden path that goes down, and you'll get to this portion of the island, and that's the only way to get here. And if you follow that path, eventually you'll reach the Compass Vault, and you'll put all of your medallions into this nice piece of art here, this stone art on the wall. And once you do that, you'll get a little scene, and we'll get a new piece of treasure to take forward. So now we have the Gold Hoarder's coin, and we're going to enter the northern kind of area where you see all these ancient statues. You've probably seen them while you were roaming around the map. And from the north, the first one on the left is going to have a hole in it, but it's locked by a door. And in the journal, she says she had to shoot to that particular statue via a cannon. So let's do that. Let's bring our boat over to this north shore and kind of angle it to where you're going to be able to shoot yourself onto that first statue on the left. And once you do that, then you can actually drop into the statue and you'll be able to open the door from the back side. Now we pull the lever, we open the door, and we grab our Gold Hoarder's coin, and we take that with us through the door, and then there'll be a place where we can play this, and now we can actually enter the inner portions of the tunnels. So the next few portions of this tale is pretty fun. You're going to have some traps to avoid. You're going to have to fight some skeletons on your way to fight the big daddy of them all. And this first area, is pretty easy. You just kind of make your way down these stairs, but you need to jump over these gaps. If you slip on those gaps, you will fall to spikes and you will die. But I will say, as you're progressing through these traps, this particular portion of this tale has checkpoints. So if you were to die in, like, let's say right here, it wouldn't take you all the way back to your boat. It'll actually take you to a different checkpoint. And in fact, if you're playing with other people, each player will have their own checkpoints as they progress through the traps themselves. So that's nice. And another thing about those spikes that come out of the floor, I always like to jump over those. I've had scenarios where I'm walking over something, there's no spikes there, and it kills me anyway. So I don't know if that's a glitch and maybe they'll fix it. But anytime you guys see spikes coming out of the ground, I highly recommend you just jump over that. And then you'll be kind of in this dark area in which you need to kind of walk along these planks, and you come across a capstan. Now you're going to come across several of these throughout the rest of this dungeon, so to speak, and you have to raise those in order to get to the next part. They'll lower a bridge or they'll open a door or something like that. So let's progress forward a little bit. Once you get to this area, you know, I've fought skeletons for quite some time before I realized that they will essentially infinitely respawn until you raise the next capstan and open the next door. And that can be a little bit difficult if you're playing solo. Obviously, if you're playing with a group, it's a little bit easier. But solo, a method that I did was I just kind of got the skeletons down to one, preferably a non-melee skeleton, and then generally I had enough time to raise the capstan, and then as he walked in, you know, kind of finish him off. But if you were to kill that last skeleton and then try to raise the capstan, a new set of skeletons will probably come in and cause you trouble before you actually raise the capstan to its maximum height. So you're going to see that, you know, kind of same thing here. Again, a couple waves of skeletons. Preferably you want to keep a blunderbuss guy alive. So you see I just ran past him because they seem to do less damage. And I'll just let him kind of shoot me as I'm raising this capstan up. So through that door and the next set of traps, you'll come to this room where you'll see these planks on the ground. And those planks on the ground are actually traps. And in this room you need to hit 3 switches. The first one's going to be directly behind you as soon as you walk in the door. And you have to avoid these wooden planks on the ground because if you hit one, basically the same spikes will come out of the ground and kill you. The second switch is going to be to the left of that scaffold, and the third switch is going to be right to the side of the gate that we need to go through. And that's pretty much it for the puzzles. You know, once we've made it through that area, we just need to walk forward a little bit further. I think we'll do one more capstan, but there's no more enemies until we face the final boss of the Tall Tales and this particular mission itself, which will be right through this area. But of course, before we do that, let's talk about all the Briggsy's journals locations. There's 10 of them in this mission, and keep in mind you must collect these while the mission is active. If you kill the final boss, the mission will end. It's not like you have something to turn in, so don't start that boss fight until you've collected everything. So the first journal is going to be basically, you know, where we pulled in on the southeast beach. If we go to Briggsy's crash sloop, we're going to go around the back end of that sloop and climb on board the ship, and there'll be a hole. Drop down in that hole, you'll find the journal right there on the ground. Briggsy's journal number 2. This is on the path that's leading to the compass vault, actually where one of the pressure points was you saw there. And as you head up, you'll see this white tattered flag that leads into a cave. Just to the left of that is the next book right in between 2 crates. The third journal is actually inside the compass vault itself. As soon as you enter the vault, just look right and it'll be right there in a broken crate. The fourth journal is actually one of the areas where we did the Western Vault puzzle. So as soon as you come to this area on the northwestern portion of the map, if you go down these stairs, just behind this broken rubble, you'll find the fourth journal. The fifth journal is kind of tricky to get. I thought the best way to do it was head to the western side of the island with my boat, and you actually have to shoot yourself onto one of the ancient statues, and because the journal is on that ancient statue's hand, and you can't actually climb up there. You could try it from the north whenever you park your boat there in order to go into the ancient statue to unlock the tunnels, but I thought that shot was a little harder. I thought it was easier to aim. I had more surface area to hit the lap and get the journal off of his hand. Journal number 6, right after you put the gold hoarder's key in and open the door to the belly, you're going to find this journal in the broken crate right on the left through the door you walk through. Briggsy's journal number 7, as soon as you walk into this area where there's a lot of spikes and we actually normally go left, if you look right you're going to see some glowing mushrooms, and in this rubble over here, if you use your lantern, you'll see a journal sitting right there. Alright, journal number 8. This is just after we had to balance on all those beams in that very dark area. Just before we jump over those spikes that I just showed you, look to your left and you'll see the journal in a broken crate. Journal number 9, this is in the room that had all the traps on the ground where we had to flip the 3 switches. On the south wall is a scaffold. On the second level of that scaffold you'll see the journal behind some pile of rubble. Just through the door after that room is the next journal. When you come to a next scaffold that's on your right, whip out your lantern and you'll see the journal number 10 sitting right there on a crate. So now we've collected all of our journals. We're ready to fight the gold hoarder himself, the final battle of the Tall Tales, and this is pretty awesome. You're in this room of gold and it's a pretty tough fight, especially solo. It's definitely difficult. He's got a few attacks that you need to be aware of. He's going to rock a flintlock pistol that does a pretty good amount of damage, and he has a cutlass, and he can be pretty aggressive with that. But keep in mind there's a ton of barrels on the outside of this arena. There's a few ammo boxes, so you really can kind of keep gathering health if you need it. Don't think that you just need to die. There's plenty of health in this room. Another attack that he'll do, he'll put kind of some gold coins in his hand, and then he'll raise those up and smash them together, and that creates a large AoE blast that knocks you back. You see that right there, very similar to Grey Marrow when he slammed his 2 chests together. He'll also sprinkle gold on the ground, and when he's doing that, which you'll see right here, he's essentially summoning some smaller skeletons to help him out in the battle. But it's a pretty tough battle. You know, I thought it was pretty difficult. You know, definitely almost died a couple times, which you're seeing here. But you know, stick with it, get your food when you need it, and eventually you'll finish this guy off. So there we go, Gold Hoarder goes down, drops this beautiful skull for us, and you know, don't miss the cutscene. Pick up the skull and actually go to the throne, and you'll get to hear a little bit of tale from the Pirate Lord himself. So after he talks to you for a little bit, you know, again, you will finish the tale, and that will be the final mission. We've made it through all of them. It's been a blast. I hope you guys have liked the guide. You can sell this skull to any orders of souls if you'd like to. You get a measly 10,000 gold for all your efforts. It's not really worth that much. But if we, you know, look at the commendations in this particular tale, you'll see, you know, we got all the commendations in the missions. We got all the journals. But like the previous missions, you'll need to complete the whole mission 5 times. And once you complete it 5 times, you'll have all the commendations in that mission. And then finally, the Seeker of Grand Adventure, once you complete all the Tall Tale commendations and all the Tall Tales, we'll get that achievement. So I hope you guys have liked the guides. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been really fun for me. I've been really having a blast playing it. So I hope to see you guys out on the seas, and hopefully we'll see you in some of the future videos.